Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I am of course your host, Jack Knives, and welcome back to Jack-O-Ween. Today we will be looking at Takashi Miike's Ichi the Killer. A leader of the branch of the Yakuza named Anjo and many of his associates are eviscerated. His surviving right-hand man, a scar-riddled sadomasochist named Kakihara, is devastated, as Anjo was the only man who could inflict actual pain on him. All of the bodies lead to a brainwashed, timid guy named Ichi, who with his murder suit and martial arts make him the ultimate killing machine. A machine that Kakihara needs to face. So how to describe this movie? It is the ultimate culmination of all things horror. What I mean is, take every aspect. Gore, blood, violence, gross, angry, disgusting, pain, everything encapsulate into this movie. Even some of the bad elements. For example, the CGI is extremely outdated. In fact, it was probably outdated when it came out in 2001. To describe Takashi Miike's work is expect the unexpected. He is pure chaos incarnate. He takes elements and aspects that you expect to see, and he subverts them, and he changes them, and he makes you slap yourself with them. This man has directed over 100 movies, and he's done more anime adaptation live actions than any other director in history. He's done westerns, action, sci-fi, yakuza, horror, of course, and various different adaptations and other things. His catalog of films is incredible. Even if you don't enjoy his work, you have to appreciate the man's work ethic. But what Miike always did was he took this aspect of everything should be shown. And for some people that kind of, gets under their skin. Like, the elements that he comes up with in just this movie are insane. Kakihara is by far one of the best horror villains, or villains in general, in cinema. His design alone is legendary. I mean, hell, he's on the cover of the poster. That's not Ichi. That is Kakihara. He's riddled with scars. He has studs in his mouth, which he takes out to extend his mouth and eat things like a shark, mostly biting people's fists who try to punch him. His weapon of choice is long needles that are basically like crochet needles that he uses to stab, poke, and prod people. He's a sick bastard. Ichi is more of a sad, pathetic weakling on surface, but that's where he subverts your expectation and is actually the deadliest killer that they've ever seen. Where he wears a big suit of armor with a giant 1 on his back because he's Ichi. Because Miike says, screw your subtlety. His most famous work is probably Audition. And if you go in expecting it to be like Audition, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. There is no heroes in this story. There's no redeemable person in this story. Every single person is a living embodiment of wasted garbage of life. They each have their own negative qualities. I don't think there's even a single person who has a positive quality in this movie. And that's astounding. It's more of like forcing the audience to choose between the worst and the worst of the worst and the worst of the worst of the worst. So really, no one is a good guy in this entire story. But that's Miike for you. His work is legendary in the sense that it's not describable. And I will forewarn anyone, if you're squeamish in any capacity, don't watch this movie. Think that some horror movies go a little too far in some capacity as far as blood. Don't watch this movie. If you don't like to see people getting tortured, don't watch this movie. Someone getting meat hooked by their back, strung up, and poured with tempura oil, don't watch this movie. because that's also a form of method and torture in this movie. That is the kind of crazy that this movie is. I can't really go any further. To call this movie random is an insult to randomness. But with all of that aside, in every possible conceivable way, I shouldn't like this movie, but I love this movie, and I don't know why. I saw it when I was younger, maybe that's probably why. It kind of became my gold standard of horror. Not that I think it's like a gold standard as far as quality. A gold standard as far as shock. Because there's very few movies that could shock me the way Ichi the Killer shocks me. Granted, I've seen a lot of things that have disgusted me, but shock and disgust are not the same thing. Shock will keep you interested, disgust will turn it away. And this movie balances that perfectly. Come back next week for more reviews in this journey of horror that we call Jack-O-Ween.